So I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening for the MoAD Open Mic. My name is Nia McAllister, and I'm the Public Programs Manager at the Museum of the African Diaspora. And as we gather tonight, it is essential to acknowledge the times we're living in and the current circumstances we're navigating. MoAD stands in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, as there are multiple pandemics killing us, including the ongoing systemic violence against Black people. We honor and mourn the senseless murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony McDade, Casey Goodson Jr., Patrick Warren Sr., Andre Hill, and so many others who've lost their lives from police brutality and racial injustice, including those whose names we do not know. We want to acknowledge that as this list continues to grow, we will continue to say their names and bring awareness in the fight for real justice for the global Black community. I also want to acknowledge the spaces that we're occupying. Though we're gathering virtually, many of us are settlers, immigrants, or descendants of those forcefully brought to this continent. And our institutions were founded upon exclusions and erasures of the indigenous peoples on whose lands we are located. It is with deep respect that MoAD acknowledges that even in a virtual space, we reside on unceded native lands and thank the indigenous peoples of the Bay Area and beyond who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. So again, I want to thank everyone for gathering in this space, and it always brings me joy to facilitate this gathering. This is a space for us to recognize our grief, our anger, our exhaustion, but also to seek comfort and joy in each other's company. So everyone is welcome in this space, and we continue to make this a place where we center respect and uplift and amplify Black voices. For those new to the space, I'm just going to give a quick overview of the program and then jump right in. So this evening we have the wonderful feature Joyce Lee joining us. So excited to hear from her. So we'll have her feature about midway through the event, but we'll begin the event with the first half of our open mic readers, and then following Joyce's feature, close out with the remaining open mic readers. So I'll be posting the lineup in the chat. Thank you to everyone who signed up in advance. Each open mic reader will have 4 minutes to share, and I do ask that everyone respect the time and space and stick within that time frame. We know open mics are places where they're very interactive. And so as we've adapted to this virtual space, I encourage everyone to use the chat, use the reactions, air claps, and snaps so that we can affirm each other's work. I think as we're adapting, it's still just as important to be able to respond to each other's poetry, the lines that we hear, what resonates with us. So I highly encourage everyone to do that. And I think those are all the housekeeping things. Again, if you're not the person speaking, please do keep your microphones muted. And with that, I will introduce our first open mic reader and put the lineup in the chat. So I'd like to welcome up James Cagney to start us off. Welcome, James.
Ouch. Okay. Hello and blessings and peace to you. And my love to everyone out there tonight who showed up to the open mic. My love and blessings to everyone out there. And I share this with you. This poem is called Proposal. Scared of the silence of the future, I come to the obvious temple of the sea, wanting to be parted. Suffering is an indifferent lover, but the most loyal. My face dimpled from endless scrolls of seawater. Usually I'm too bashful to dance or pray, but I approach your altar bearing hydrangeas and grape hyacinths to pay for my own light surgery. Having dreamed of proposing to the ocean in its evening gowns of lilac and fuchsia, take the rings spinning through me like saw blades. Take the sparks sizzling in my palm before they burn through. Let me bring the hurricane and lay a bouquet of sunken ships full of watermelon and coconut cake in your private lagoons. Let these timid fingers touch you, how my father reached for his last bottle of anything, while you drop stitch centuries between quilted waves of foam. To you, Time and its trivia is a running joke. Go on and laugh the sun down while I wipe the sandpipers from the corners of your eyes. I've been taking cowrie shells for antidepressants. God help my superstitious doctors, these professional illiterates, prescribing drugs that make society appear okay, while elders with vintage blood stay at the mercy of children born with fangs. Cleanse me down to my pilot light, here at the beginning of all waters, where only the spirit still burns like a cowrie shell, like a bonfire at dawn. All right, thank you guys very, very much. And blessings to all of us out here. And blessings to Joyce.
Thank you so much, James, for just starting us off with that. As ever, the imagery of your words is just so beautiful. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Melissa Noel. Welcome.
Hello, Nia.
Hi there.
How are you?
Doing well. It's great to have you back.
It is good to be back. It's such a blessing to be in this space. I love this space. And it's good to be amongst y'all. James, that was incredible as always, always. The title of this piece is known to us as The Brilliant Ones. We sometimes throw away the brilliant ones, thinking that they are below average, commonly backwards, retro and misaligned, all the while misinterpreting their power, stepping on their appearance, missing the true merit of what they bring and can give to the earth. For if I could backpedal all the times I looked over the brilliant ones, I would even be more brilliant than I am today. I hope you didn't cry too long. I hope the next time we meet again, I can see the magic and majesty within you. A majesty electrifying and kinetic with a pulchritude, so uncanny and so different. Next time, I want my eyes to embrace you far greater, with an admiration far more sincere and respectful. Never again will I look at your brilliance as something tarnished by laughter and tainted in a misguided reflection of self-hate, self-loathing, swaddled in pride and theatrical circumstance. For you are a canvas decorated only with thought, no color. As you sit now with your paintbrush in one hand and your suitcase in the other, carefully escaping inside of lines, textures of blue and symmetries of hope, wishing you could do it all over again, but this time with less hurt and pain, a pain not many will understand, no matter how many times or how many ways you tell them. Just think, if we all knew we had just one opportunity in life, just one opportunity to show how we value others, just how much more serious we would appreciate the air we breathe and the laughter we make and the hours spent sitting at the base of a tree, or for some as our feet dangle freely. I just pray you make it out long enough to conceptualize and to see in our hate, in our haste, and sometimes our demise, how the world has shunned and thrown away the brilliant ones. if I just had one chance, if you could give me one more chance, one more opportunity to show you how much I care and just how far we could go across lofty mountaintops, elevated by the backdrop of towering universes not yet known. For we would walk with kings more mighty than deciduous trees, shedding light to the galaxies and hitting places in between, gliding like gazelles, gallantly gazing in the eyes of God, not only sowing the seeds of love, but sowing and healing up all the wounds of the brilliant ones, especially those tinkering on the brink of collapse, because we grew too ignorant to see how beautiful they truly were, truly are. So for now, remember these lines as time goes by and we continually lift into the vanishing ages. May you give more discernment to the allegory of these incredible sages, often mistaken for dumb, but truly carry an illuminating energy known to us as the brilliant ones.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for that piece. That was absolutely wonderful. And I just feel so full hearing that. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Avacha up to the mic. Welcome, Avacha.
Hey, I'm so honored to be here with all these heavyweights. And wow. Okay, this first one is my latest one. Some of you may have heard it before it was finished, but I finally got all the glitches out. It's called Never Alone, and I basically wrote it after listening to people talk about how we can't do anything as one person, and that, anyway, outside of Harriet Tubman, I think they said use one other word. There was nobody else who was ever doing anything for us, which is the biggest misconception. So anyway, this is called Never Alone. We have never been alone. Marcus Garvey, Arturo Schomburg, David Walker, Ida B. Wells, Dessalines, and Queen and Zinga, and all those other incorruptible ancestors who showed their contempt for slavery and servitude by spitting in the face of evil, jumping overboard and freeing their souls, proud, unchained souls whose restless spirits still roam the ocean floor, stamping their presence on our dreams, our minds, and hands, revealing their essence and creativity all over the globe. We were never alone. Zumbia Palmares, Cohuaya, aka John Horse, Harriet Tubman, and Argentina's El Negro Falucho, our beautiful, brilliant ancestors manifest themselves in life-saving rhythms, rhythmic vitamins like La Bomba, bold rhythmic magic revitalizing our lives with samba, rumba, lando, juba. They sing to us in daydreams and dance with us on stages. Their tears become our paintings, our books, and poems, and feed our self-esteem when life tries to get in our way. We will never, ever be alone. Ya Esantawa, Denmark, Vesey, Granny Nanny, Alonso de Yescas, and Gaspar Yanga, the unstoppable freedom fighter hero of Veracruz, who reincarnated themselves in each and every one of us, said, hell no, we're here. We are free, and no matter what they say, we're here today and we're here to stay. We are the voice of the millions of ancestors whose names we never got a chance to know. Ancestors who know that some of us are brave enough to know their truth, to know that we were born to tell their truth, and sworn to repaying their sacrifices every day with our actions, a sacred legacy written in blood, forever inscribed in our souls, and an internal tattoo, an inescapable reminder to never let us forget to remember the price they paid for us to know that we were never alone, that we are never alone, and that we will never, ever, ever, ever be alone. Thank you for your words and your ears and all that kind of stuff, folks. This last one I want to read is written, I was coming home on the bus to West Oakland, and this youngster got on the bus and he almost knocked these elders over so he could get in the seats that are reserved for the elders. And everybody in the bus was trying to talk to him. He was real foul mouthed, pants hanging, talking crazy. And I looked at him and I recognized him as this baby that I had taken care of. His mother and I lived right across the way from each other, and we used to take care of each other's kids. He was a beautiful, one of the most beautiful little black brown babies that I have ever known in my life, and trying to wonder what had turned him into this monster that I was seeing. So this poem is called I'm Waiting. I watch. Sadly, as beautiful little babies of color are forced to transform into merciless street monsters, just to conform to perverse, unrealistic standards that can neither see nor appreciate their beauty, and won't even admit they exist till these pissed off kids get sick of being ignored and explode and burn down the tree that we're all sitting on. I watch. Sadly, painfully, my heart bleeding, a hemorrhage of imposed frustration, the water from these eyes, my only sacrament, and pray one day they'll feel my tears, enough to taste the unnecessary devastation and realize I still see all those beautiful little babies, all those forgotten little babies, those sweet, cute, affectionate, tiny babies hidden behind the cold boldness of their masks. My arms are open, waiting for our children to come home. Thank you for your ears. I'm going to put up our poetry series in the chat, and hopefully you'll come and visit us the fourth Saturday of the month at 3 to 5, and well, check us out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abacha, for sharing. It's always wonderful. Such a treat to hear your poetry. And thank you again also for sharing your events. I highly encourage folks to tune in and join. Next up, I would like to invite Uniqua Simmons. Welcome back.
Hi, yes, hello everyone, peace and blessings. This is an ekphrastic piece. Let me see if I can get this right here. Okay, all right. The artwork is a tie-dye and shibori fabric collage. May these words help to encourage and brighten your self-esteem. I am that. I am that woman I've been praying for. I am that woman I've been longing for. That woman I see, that's me. My stretched out arms all around me, embracing all of me. Higher power sustaining. I weave the textures of my being, maintaining. Ignite the textures in my dreams. I am the textures of my being. A reality of fluidity inside of me. My energy refracts my light of colors, absorbing and releasing my hues of purples and blues. Always more to discover. I am that woman I've been longing for. That woman I see is me. I am that woman that surrounds me. I am that woman I've been longing for. That woman is me, and I breathe with ease. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful, seeing the piece and hearing your words together. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I would like to invite Zakia G.E.K. Park. Welcome, Zakia. Hi, Zakia. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm having a little trouble. Hold on one sec.
No worries.
Okay, I think I'm on. Okay. So in celebration of Women's History Month, I'd like to do a couple of pieces. And my first piece is entitled Celebrating Black Women. I'm happy to be here this evening amongst all these fabulous poets. I haven't been here in a while, so it feels really good to be back. Thank you, Nia, for holding the space for us. Birthing women, teaching women, Sojourner Truth, Frances Ellen Watkins Hopper, Anna Julia Cooper. These women abolitionists, suffragists, activists, and advocates for Black women paved the way, creating opportunities for us to stay on earth yet another day. Preaching women, building women, Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell, Pauli Murray, Dorothy Height fought for civil rights and women's rights. Women that refused to slumber in blues, holding the torch until they were scorched, but never giving up. Mobilizing women, unionizing women, Hattie Canty, Velma Hopkins, Lucy Gonzalez Parsons, Rosina Tucker, in the factories and on the streets, organizing union meets, continued to build, using no frills, for women know that in due time, our lives redefine. Okay, my second piece is a poem that I wrote in celebration of my paternal grandmother. It's entitled Roar of the Tigress. Gal, get away from that window and sit down over yonder. Don't you hear God talking? Grandmother would turn off the lights and make us be still. We all sat in the dark when the thunder came. She said God was talking and we better be listening. I usually obeyed grandmother, or the sting of her tree switch would be imprinted on my behind. But I believed God was talking, and I wanted to know what she was saying. Brisk, bellowing, crackling sounds permeated the atmosphere like the roar of the tigers. Gal, get away from that window and sit down over yonder. Don't you hear God talking? My grandmother's words still echo in my memory. So when the thunder comes, I turn off the lights, sit in the dark, and be still. Because I know God's talking, and I better be listening. I still obey grandmother, or the sting of her tree switch will be imprinted on my behind. And I believe God is talking because I hear what she is saying. Brisk, bellowing, crackling sounds that still permeate the atmosphere is the roar of the tigress. Gal, get away from that window and sit down over yonder. Don't you hear God talking? Thank you. And I just would like to announce that I have a poetry launch coming up next Saturday on the 13th. I will put the information in the chat. You're all invited. It's a free Zoom launch. And I hope that I can see all of you there. And the other thing I'd like to say is that I'm a feature at Avacha's Music of the Word on the 27th of March, which is 2 Saturdays after that. And I hope that you can all join us. It's always a wonderful occasion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zakia. And again, congrats on your new book. I
Thank
hope
you,
everyone
Nia.
comes out and supports. And it's wonderful to see how small the poetry world is. We're always at each other's events.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Next up to the mic, I'd like to invite Isra Abbas. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isra, and I have some digital poetry that I would love to read to you all. And I'll just put in the chat like my website information right here, and I'll share my screen. So this digital poetry, this one is called 19 in a Cell, Trapped with Bitter Apologies. This is a poem originally written by a Sudanese poet named Mamadou. And I took some of the words and tried to create a digital form of it to create more emotion to it and the trap feeling. 19 in the cell, trapped with bitter apologies. The protests have risen. A guy with a black stick pulls me from the street and tells me that I sent false information to outside intelligence. I tried to reason with him, but no point. This time in the form of possibility, the last communication between us ever. Quickly hands me over to the police. All I got was a bruised thigh from a direct blow by an AK-47 handle. He was brought in the night before and was brutally beaten. He was my main partner for the rest of the prison stay. He was reciting beautiful poetry. One of them recognized one of his abusers as his neighbor. One of them was a 12-year-old kid. One of the agents later said to us, "We cannot go within these protests and get hurt, so we catch anyone near so our superiors know that we are working." He knew only one person in Umdurman. I memorized the number while I was leaving prison, but it wasn't in service when I later called it. It was killed before it was even born. And it was killed before it was even born. For now, I'm trying to enjoy my freedom, a desire that is always blocked by the thought of my brothers that I left behind. And now for my next poem. This is called Sand. This one is a poem that I written myself, and I also create a digital form as well to create more of a environmental like feeling of it and also the visual aspect. Sand. He said he missed the sands of Sudan, the feel, the smell, the view. The Blue Nile River becomes more blue. They imprison him for wanting what is right for the Sudanese people. The Sahara becomes the brightest yellow. His friends brings him a bag full of sand from the street that he grew up on to his jail cell, to feel it, to smell it, to view it. The green farmlands become more greener. Finally, they set him free. Is he truly free? Thank you so much. So this is my works, and I hope you all check it out in iapoetry.com. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you. That was absolutely incredible. I've never read or experienced poetry like that. I'm extremely impressed and am excited to read more of your
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Next up, I'd like to invite Landon Smith. Welcome, Landon.
So how's it going? I'm gonna, I guess I can share screen. So I'm gonna do a contrapuntal, and then I'll do one of my usuals. Open it. Actually, I don't need to share the screen. I'll just read it. So contrapuntals, if you don't know, they're poems that you can read them. They're usually like 2 columns at least. And so you can read them either on the left side, either on the right side, or all the way across. So you can read it like 3 different ways, at least. So I do not hear you because I do not want to. It is safer to see patriotism, but you will forgive me afterward. Because everything here is mine, I call for healing to break you as I am proprietor of swastika memorabilia meant to tear you onto a democracy of the dollar, just waiting to be gaslit as justice and fairness in this country. Beneath deafening screams, lie down the lives I cannot touch as the bones break while blackness is under the bus since denial is as American as genocide. Once more, symbols only visible beneath fascist cloth, from barbed wire cutting vision and blood oaths atop marginalized bodies just trying to survive in a hellscape of whiteness that was never a country. I do not hear you beneath deafening screams because I do not want to. Lie down the lives I cannot touch. It is safer to see patriotism as the bones break, but you will forgive me afterward while blackness is under the bus because everything here is mine since denial is as American as genocide. I call for healing to break you once more, as I am proprietor of swastika symbols only visible beneath fascist cloth, memorabilia meant to tear you from barbed wire cutting vision onto a democracy of the dollar and blood oaths atop marginalized bodies, just waiting to be gaslit as just trying to survive justice and fairness in a hellscape of whiteness in this country that was never one country. And then do this last one. As most folks know, most of my poems don't have titles until I decide to submit them somewhere. Threw away my Obama shirt long ago. Unsure why I thought I needed an imperialist and blackface on my chest. But let me talk to the Black person who thinks Black people's response to state-sanctioned violence is a snappy slogan. Like that change he said we could believe in, but still put boot to border, finger to airstrike, dollar to badge, machine still churning out death beneath charisma, still under the impression that representation makes the difference behind whose foot presses down on the graveyards. But respect your elders, they say, combing through concessions looking like less than halfway, smelling like toasted air above charred flesh, beneath the Pentagon briefings and speeches to immobilize. Spelling compromise with a padlock and a silver tongue. Spelling compromise with a buckshot and a yell to get that hand out of my pocket, fool. Spelling compromise with white faces carved into black hills, still waiting for that change we can believe in with more of the same. But shit, the conversations between me and the walls have only intensified. As I stay off social media and ignore that a white page said they learned from me and I gained 60 new white followers in a day. And if I had a better spam filter, maybe it would have been 20. So I ignore the assumption that I will know how to talk to white people on campus in a post-pandemic apocalypse. Inhabited by zombies and shells of my former self, unable to connect to anything surface level after bridges were incinerated with silence and performative inaction. Cycling deja vu rhetoric in conversations with my walls about what was or wasn't said, what was or wasn't stoked in a coup unpunished that I guess nobody is responsible for, in hopes that my tolerance will not calibrate. Discovered a new strain of anxiety in a predicted prophecy, of disgusted disillusionment and short-fused gunpowder, lit by the exhaustion with whiteness taking up space in specifically curated spaces, searching for saviorhood and allyship costumes. I prophesized the destruction of it. You know they painted over walls in hopes that you'd forget what was left beneath, right? You know they turned House Flipper to make the movement shiny just to profit from what's forgotten underneath, right? You know conversations held in captivity are cut off at the prison wall if you lose yourself somewhere in between your last breath as yourself, right? Before you become reformed, right? And become reformed with what the right way to speak past your desensitization used to be in that shell that you now buried in walls, painted over, for post-pandemic ecosystems torn down for the same surplus value restructuring that a spam filter couldn't suppress. Shit, does my pen even move for myself in a language that's not mine, but had to master? In a two-dimensional prison I cannot create my own world in? Maybe this is why Amiri sang parts of his poems, to paint pictures from the slivers he tried to reclaim from hands ready to pull him from laureate posts, with vision still blinded by tower dust clouds and nationalism baked into the feedback loops I now see in dreams I'm not whole in. You've seen scars, they say, but don't point to the blunt force object too abruptly. Rather, focus on the scab first, and you will see less hands reaching for words you cannot claim as your own, beneath red lines and prison ink, painting pictures in cages. And shit, maybe you can die on a balcony too if you play your cards right. If that process doesn't process you right through an Audubon ballroom buckshot, right to a Chappelle Show contract where you were murdered while still blinking, at pen strokes you don't even own, in a death sentence for you to only be glorified in retrospect. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Lyndon. As always, you just blew everything out of the water. Thank you. So it is now that time in the evening where I read a couple poems and then introduce our wonderful feature. So I dug around in the archives. So I have an old piece and then another regular one that I read just for fun. So this piece is entitled Charred. Gone are the days of spitting words at each other like wildfires. Sparks that caught too quickly, that even tears could not quell the damage. Look how a passionate fire turned toxic. You should know that even the oldest forests must burn down, if only to make room for fresh growth. Our controlled burn was inevitable. How else to clean our love-soaked soil turned hazardous? So we backburned, leveling our ground, before distance could poison the seeds of our once blossoming friendship. We burned ourselves into silence, clearing the way for sincere attempts at life after love. Sometimes we must set ourselves alight to begin anew, and regrowing we are, even if our roots are no longer intertwined. And Zakia inspired me with her reminder that yes, it is Women's History Month. And I always love writing and reading poems for my wonderful living ancestors, the women in my family. And also my literary ancestors who always inspire me. So this is for all the women in my life who've impacted me and who live beside me. This is entitled Consort of the Spirits, after Ntozake Shange. There are roadmaps in my great-great-grandmother's braids. She keeps seeds in there too, because where we are going, home must come with us. Tell me how your mother hides spices in the hem of her skirt, tucks hymns behind her ears, and calls it packing for tomorrow. Do the women in your family hide rose water in their saliva, sage in between their thighs? Because how dare we sleep on strange land without blessing? Tell me how your sister folds indigo leaves between her toes, smuggles cotton flowers under her arms, and promises that where we are going, there will be color. There are black-eyed peas in my auntie's coin purse. She keeps moonlight in there too, because luck is far more precious than loose change. I carry a cowrie shell in the crook of my arm. It sings when my twins are near. I wear strands of sea glass upon my ears because where we are going, there will be music. Do the women in your family wrap beeswax around their ring fingers, tuck matchsticks in their collarbones, and promise that we will never know darkness? They call this survival, but we pack what we must because what we return to may no longer be ours. They call this survival, but the body is a compass and we are each other's destination. They call this survival, but this ritual of making to leave before knowing where we're headed is how we birth futures. They call this survival, but we know better. Where there's a woman, there's magic. Thank you. And it is now my great, great honor to introduce our feature for this evening. Joyce Lee is an international storyteller and performance poet. Her performances of her own creative nonfiction writing constantly receive standing ovations and encores from her fans and personal heroes. Joyce is an explorer of emotional and physical life. She travels the world and writes, but is not a travel writer. Instead, each place she wanders, each country is allotted by her to introduce its own spirit. Joyce listens to that spirit and takes notes. Sometimes the note is a memory, sometimes a story, but every time a poetic gift to her audience. Welcome, Joyce.
Thank you, Nia. I really want to thank Nia. I want to thank all of you for having me, but I want to thank Nia personally. I'm not an easy person to deal with at all on any capacity. I don't pretend to be. I usually warn people about me before I arrive. Like I require warning. And I mean, I have not been the easiest person. I don't do technology. I'm easily frustrated. I grew up with typewriters and writing everything by hand. So like when Nia's like, oh, you have to email me. I'm like, now what? Like I'm not the easiest person to deal with. So I really appreciate Nia for having me. I appreciate everyone for their poetry. This night has been like super inspiring. And for many reasons. You know, I am single, not by choice, you know, men aren't worth a damn or they die on me, you know what I'm saying? So so I'm a divorcee, I'm a widow, and I'm childless, and I'm by myself in this quarantine, and it has been a very eye-opening and introspective journey that I am grateful for. And normally we always try to hide our vulnerability and where we may be weak or where we may need things. And I don't want to do that, so I won't. And it's just been great having people and being in the realization that I need people and that people aren't disposable. I can't just throw them away, and I shouldn't want to, especially my people. And you guys have been just so inspiring tonight. I'm gonna be reading poems out of my latest book. My latest book is called Dancing in the Presence of Men, a book of love and lovers. It's on Amazon. And I'm gonna start reading the preface and all the way down. I have 25 minutes. I don't know about Nia, but I prefer interaction in any capacity that we can get it, that I can get it. So if you guys have questions or you wanna have kind of a quick dialogue of anything that I'm writing about, I'm open to that. So there's that. So I'm gonna get started. I wrote this book 2 years ago when I was living in Colombia, and I finished this book in the jungles of Colombia. And I was working for the Air Force. I was working for the Colombian military and bossing around commanders while writing a book about sex and grief. And teaching Pablo Neruda to and telling soldiers to translate it to English for me. I was I was having a time. So here we go. I can remember the exact year that I realized I was a writer. East Oakland, California, 1990. I was 9 years old, in my room and angry about something again. I was often silenced as a child because of my blunt and dogmatic analysis of the adults in charge of my life. In my family, children were only permitted to share opinions concerning childish things. My fearless honesty punished me with a familial reputation of being mean-spirited. In efforts to erase the reputation, I would often choose journaling my truths instead of speaking them. Sequentially, I grew to prefer solitude over socializing, which was also interpreted as meanness. No matter how well I obeyed, my face showed my discontentment. I made every attempt to avoid trouble, and still I could not escape my debauched reputation. I hated being a child. I was regularly shamed for appraising relationships that did not include my complete acceptance. Most of my memories consist of a constant struggle against the delusions of others about me. I would love to tell you a story of me growing into a full woman who no longer cares what others think of me. I would love to give you an epic beginning. But I'm afraid that in many ways, I'm yet the same 9-year-old secluded in her bedroom, writing everything I dare not say in fear of the reputation that may follow. Last year, I watched a docuseries on Netflix entitled Sex Around the World. I love sex as a verb and subject. The docuseries was about different kinds of perceptions on sex in different countries around the world. I spotted that the subject of sex, no matter where, was always tied to the systematic policing of women. The more liberal the country, the more sexually explicit the women. In turn, the stricter the laws, the more silent and covered the women are forced to be. Cisgender heterosexual men remain more or less the same in every country, unquestioned. In the docuseries, a woman in a more conservative country listed some of the many things that women dare not do. I was baffled when she said that it was illegal for a woman to dance in the presence of men. I could not relate. It is acceptable, even encouraged, for me to twerk in a gentleman's club or on a television program for men. Actually, it's stereotypically expected of a Black woman to know how to and love to do overtly sexual dances for others. This world treats me as though my ass jiggle is my formal greeting. I grew up in a home and society where I could wear whatever I wanted while always having to cover something. Not just physically, but verbally, socially, and emotionally. My complete nakedness was and still is considered rude. And nothing is meaner than a rude Black woman. I have always received offended responses and been treated as if my isolation is by choice, instead of the reaction it actually is to me rarely being truly welcomed as I am. Thus, contrary-wise, I could completely relate to the women in the docuseries in the sense that it is not okay for me to dance for myself as if I am my only source of provision. It is considered whorish for me to understand man as adorning garments, which I can choose to remove or append at will. I am reputed conceited if I praise myself for being visible without seeking permission or approval. I am free to dance in the presence of men. However, I have never felt free from judgment, dancing uninhibitedly for myself in the presence of others. Consider my book, my background music. Okay, that's one. Questions, comments. I told y'all this is interactive. And Al, thank you. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Y'all ain't saying nothing, so I'm gonna keep going. All right, here's another one. Called Hella Old School. Y'all better know your music fucking with me. All right, Hella Old School. Barely just connected Jimmy's red house to a street near East 14th. Just called every ghetto surrounded by cops. Bleecker Street, just let Break Street break me in. And here you come talking about Tupac. Damn, these youngsters move fast. I'ma need you to know a Marvin lyric to the rhythm you'd like to fuck me in. Take your time. You at the grown folks table. And I'm still just learning spades and muddy. Still just learning how nasty Clarence Carter's blind ass was. Still just letting old JT and Redding give me stacks on the many ways a strong man can repent. I'm just learning black love. And here you come talking about Nas. I ain't even close, baby. Spend a little more time on my insides like Wild Bill Withers and whisper Bootsy Collins to me. I'ma need your conversation and vocab to be longer than an Isaac Hayes and Roy Ayers all night groove put together. And don't even expect these learning hips to twerk. I'm still just learning to dance through pain. Still just learning to make love from it. Still getting used to the snare pop not being a foot stamp and hand clap that encourages me past the lash and whip. Still just understanding that there is a love-making sound that is all mine, baby. I'm caressing in the language of Mayfield. I'm kissing in Hathaway. And here you talking about Wu-Tang Clan. I ain't even close, baby. Not even a little bit. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Questions, comments?
That was beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, sister.
These youngsters don't know.
That was straight fire.
Amen,
Curtis was
amen.
all day.
Thank you.
Amen.
Well, I done had it hard. All right, we're gonna keep it going, all right? Nia, tell me when to stop, all right?
You got time. Also, people are asking you questions in the chat too.
I don't hear shit. You gotta tell me, Nia. Read it out to me.
Okay. So first, there was a question earlier. Someone asked how you danced in Colombia, and then there was another question about who your favorite rapper is.
Oh, okay. How do I dance in Colombia? Salsa. Salsa is the dance of slaves, baby. Yeah, I'm salsa. I'm gonna get with you. I'm a salsa. I'm a merengue. I'm a bachata. I'm a cumbia. I'm gonna get with you. And there are reggae clubs. You know, I don't have my wine down. I wish I did, but I don't. You know. So there were reggae clubs, but yeah, I salsa. That's the dance. Who's my favorite rapper? I mean, that's not a fair question. That's not a fair question at all. I have many favorite rappers, many. But right now at 7:00, my favorite rapper is Andre 3000. It is Andre Benjamin. It's Andre. I love him so much. It's ridiculous, but I have many favorite rappers. All right. And take a swig of water and keep going. Called Still for the Music Heads, the Survivor's Guide to Listening. And I started this book off with music simply because music taught me love language. It was always, they're growing up in East Oakland with Southern parents, mama from Arkansas, dad from Louisiana. There was always music to mood. You could gauge the house by what was playing. And, this whole thing is about love. And music it's a love language. It's a missing love language. Most of the time, I remember Nita singing of the same sweet love that the women in my family could never seem to get in return. Freddie Jackson meant there was an adult party and that us kids should stay in our room, and Jamaica funk meant we have to wait until their liquor cleared and kicked in really good before coming out. Johnny Taylor meant the women were empowered and the house could be shared equally in celebration of fuck that motherfucker. Betty Wright meant I'd only come out ready to sing along well enough to give every woman in that house hope, and I usually did. I knew my mother was in love again when the house smelled like Clorox, pine sol, and incense. I knew things were serious between her and a new man when every morning smelled like crackling sausage, fresh bread, and grits. I could hear how many meals I needed to deny myself in the depths of my mother's silence as she listened to one of her sister's worries. So if you hang around me long enough, you will notice that I have a habit of asking for nothing and taking up as little space as possible and cleaning more than I soiled and apologizing for existing first thing in the morning, apologizing for interrupting your eyesight if you hang around me long enough. You will notice that I have a habit of eating once per day or less. Blame my weird nature on my family's welcome. Blame it on how they put me in the habit of listening and making room for others. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna read this one about Johnny Taylor because I love me some Johnny Taylor, okay? I'm a blues girl. You can't play no Bobby Blue Bland. You can't play certain things around me now. So Johnny Taylor is one of the people you cannot play around me. Okay, an ode to Johnny Taylor. I make love like Johnny, a cram righteousness bona fide enough to feel slightly slighted and all the way together. If a man is with me, then we may as well be jury curled and drinking night train express tied up in fishnet stockings to a headboard in a hole in the wall, fussing and fucking in the same four chords, pleading for understandings, begging for trust and again, because my love is just one gorgeous damn blues like Johnny. I love me some Johnny Taylor. Okay, anyway, Envidiosa. I wrote this in Colombia. That tall Black American woman dancing on the dance floor in Bogota, Colombia. She got all these short men in line accepting the test of her beauty, and she's so Black. Her smile like a fire in the dark. It's so beautiful. It's making mobs of these men, and they all in line, hoping she will choose them, hoping they will be timely enough to get a chance at forever with her and her long, long legs and her midnight skin and that bonfire smile she be winking with. And I'm sitting here smiling at the whole scene, but inside, I'm jealous. Not of her height or her beauty. I'm shorter than she is, but I'm still tall for a woman. I got a compensating beauty and I'm sexy too. So I ain't jealous of her gorgeous dance or the long line of short men hoping to get a chance at eons with her, but the hope in her shift and her twirl, the heartbreaking experiences still light enough for her to only carry on her tongue and nowhere else on her body, a body that hasn't been clotted in trauma, but is saturated in wells of hopeful love, so much so she is magnetizing possibilities, everything in the air around her, everything she is taking for granted. I envy. Where are we on time? Is everybody all right?
You still have another 10, basically.
I have another 10. All right, y'all asked for everybody okay? Okay. Now,
Someone did ask, are these all from the same book?
these are all from the same book. I'm
Great.
literally reading you a book, my latest book. That is what is happening right now. So where can we get the book? You can get the book on Amazon. If you don't, I know, I mess with revolutionaries on a constant and they're like, don't feed me no Amazon BS. Now, if you don't want to go to Amazon, You can always DM me. This is my Instagram at Joyce Lee Writes. And you can find me also on Facebook. I'm Nia's friend on Facebook. I'm Joyce Lee. So you can find me on Facebook on Joyce Lee, and you can DM me and I will do whatever I possibly can to send you a book directly if you are just like, don't give me no Amazon hootie poo. Okay, I understand. I have friends who are like, no. So, all right, I got another 10. Any more questions? Do you still have conversations with your childhood? Leon, do I still have conversations with my childhood? I don't need that kind of confrontation in 2021. I've been sensitive all 2020. Do I still have conversations with childhood? Yes, I do. I'm working a lot with my inner child and going back to heal some things, that these stories that I have. You know, I'm tired of being the victim. I'm tired of these stories where I'm constantly telling where I'm the victim, and I truly was the victim, but that doesn't mean that I still have to be the victim in that story. I'm trying to work past that story and go get the kid and just be like, okay, I'm gonna go get you. You're no longer the victim of this thing. And so I'm doing a lot of childhood work. I also I got to plug Nia, you know, I see it. And so I'm gonna do it. Okay. So I also hold this space called the Halcyon Fall. It's every Friday with Black women, non-men, sorry, men, Black women, non-men, women of color. And we get together and I have like professional healers come on. I have professional writers come on. I have psychiatrists, behavioral therapists. I have women who've left their husbands to have children by themselves at 50, who are VP of software conglomerates, who are just like, yo, I'm facing the same thing you're facing. We get together, we talk, and we walk away with tools to leave better. So in that way, I'm talking to my childhood. In that way, I put myself in the path of people who are going to make me self-correct. I don't believe in lazy friendship, which is why I'm not friends with a lot of people, because a lot of people want a lazy friend. They want a friend who will just tell you, yo, you know, it's all right, it's all good. You know, you're not drinking too much. You're okay here. I want the friend to be like, all right, bitch, that's your last drink tonight, says me. You're going too far with this person who's not loving you correctly, says me. So I constantly put myself in healing spaces, even if I have to create those spaces for me and other women. So I do. I'll write it, and you can go to, I'm gonna put it, joycelee.com. You can go there and see the Halcyon Fall and all this other goodness, and it's some powerful women coming on there. But and I will have all-inclusive things for white women, for white men, for everybody. But right now, the Halcyon is just for Black women, women of color, non-men. I'm sorry, my men homies are like, you know, we need the same help. What's up? I'm just like, you guys need to create that help, because I don't know how to speak to men. I've never had that experience. I'm not qualified to know what man is full of BS, because a dude can talk good professionally and his personal life be all foul. Now, these women, I know their lives are real, so I don't want to be handing out false help to men. I'm working on it. Pray for me. Okay, let me get back to the poetry. I'm done fussing. All right, let me get back to it.
Thank you for keeping it real.
I'm trying. I don't know how else to be. I wish I knew another way. All right. So, yeah, I want to help everybody. I'm just one person though, you know. And I've actually reached out to other men to help other men. It's been interesting hearing men's responses to helping men. I'm like, God, you guys are lost. And like, I can't even find nobody to help you. Let me see. Oh, I like this one. All that smiling. Just something I noticed among some married women. Some, Not a lot and not most, but some. All that smiling. His clothes were as clean as the house, as together as the kids, as good as the meals, as strong as the prayers, as sincere as the smile that greeted him at the front door every night, adorned in new negligees, as fragile as his ego, as thick as my will to be a really good woman to him, only him. He translated my love language into my slavery. I did all that smiling just to beg and frown. Let me keep going. This one's called Your Love. When we met, you were a rescue to my life of fatigue, and you said you loved me. You loved me through the grief of my abandonment. I felt I owed you the earth, so I gave you my hand in marriage and children with potential to the ethers in an effort to say thank you. In an endeavor to say, I love you too, I endure your bullying family. You love. The overbearing religion you love, the curt rage you apologize for, but you love to say, I love you. I obligate myself to give you good kisses and head. In truth, after every argument, I martyr my soul, reassure myself that you don't mean the meanness. Recap your apologies, recount the children we've raised, retell the number of anniversaries we celebrate. I repeat, saying, even after the first and second time you hit me, we're gonna keep going. Ooh, 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 ooh. This was in the jungles. This is called Reflection and Return. There's one other woman in this, there's one other Black woman in this jungle with me. She's older than me. Her eye roll when I say hello is about my father's age. When she sucks her teeth at my smile, come from some West Indian island mid-colonization, but I'm new to her though. Because I keep in mind that she's me. She's the part of me that don't love me for no good reason. So I dress real pretty every day for her, and I smile. And I say hello with my whole heart. I won't let her offend or ignore her own mirror. I stay in her face, smiling, sincere beauty and love. No matter what I look like, I think of me. I know even if she forgot that we are all we have in this jungle. Today, I wore a thin and flowing dress, oiled my Black skin to a shiny marble, matched eyeshadow with headscarf, with stained lipstick. Hey, Linda, she smiled, telling me how beautiful my scarf is, finally giving me a chance to praise my own reflection in return. Okay. Okie dokie. This is called One Day Out of Nowhere. I don't remember the day my intuition was born. Just the pull and wrestle against my mother's guidance and its worried nails sinking into my flesh, her frantic and wild eyes in response to my every no. I severed her opinion's tongue with care and something candid, only to tie it in a box and bow so it could be only hers again to guide another or bury. My mother is a good mother. But one day, out of nowhere, she raised a woman. And since then, I've been determined to make my own mistakes. Keep going. Okay. Uh-oh, it's getting sexual. All right. Let me sip my water. I don't know how much time I have. Nia's like, whatever, girl, you going all night, go.
Do you have one or two to close out for this evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
This is one. It's called Love Anyway. Now I grew up a PK. I just want to say that my father's a pastor in the Pentecostal faith. So I grew up knowing the Bible quite well and using it to perverted advantages. The Bible is where I learned words. It's where I learned the power and the impact of words and what they meant and what they could do. So I constantly play with scripture. I grew up with it. So this is called Love Anyway. I do not know you, but let me love you anyway. You do not have to trust my intentions to believe my avowal. No nuptial is needed to submit unreservedly to my touch. Please allow me devotion. I must extol love. I ache to alleviate and would love to greet you in every attempt to make love when your fingers scuttled half of a crucifix across your chest as you commanded, lick. I grew 10,000 happy tongues and my soul leapt, longing for more instructions, for more blessings. I can give, I do. What I do not have, I will find here at the altar of your body. Allow me worship. Let me say love. Let you not run. Let us ignore all suffering which begot us into this now sanctified vulnerable. Let us lick sweat into wine. Let us feed our 5,000 busted and famished cores with 2 bodies and 5 senses that boldly touch and agree. Salvation has no respect of history. Heaven does not withhold for genealogy's sake. Consequently, I do not have to know you to say love, just as love requires no decree to make itself. Allow me to make love to you. Allow my tongue to circle around your power for 6 days and roar on the 7th. Let us witness the falling of miraculous fortifications. Allow me to make you ritual and testimony of what love can be and do when we bend for its sovereignty, when we resist and escape all laws and tradition, when we become miracles wrapped in flesh and not expectations, when we are both parched wells and jaws of asses. Let us allow love to be used and use us. Trust we will not die, but be taken up suddenly by whirlwind, and the wise will follow the most exceptional supernova across the worst conditions in search of our temporary yet eternal truth. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you.
Yay. Yay, Joyce. Thank you so much. That was lovely.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're incredible, Joyce. Thank you so much for the set, for sharing your stories, for being you. It's so wonderful to have you in this space. And I also want to thank you also for reading. If anyone wants to go back and also see Joyce's reading at MLK Day earlier in the year, you get some more poetry from Joyce. And I really appreciate you also putting your link, your website, and sharing all the different spaces you're creating. I really hope folks tap in and support, buy the book, connect with Joyce outside of this space. It really means a lot that you brought all of this to open mic tonight. Thank you. This has been just such a full evening. I always feel uplifted. I say it every single time. I come in with the weight of the day, and then being here with all of you makes me so happy. So with that, I will be putting the second half of the open mic lineup into the chat just to remind folks. But I'd like to invite up Norm to be our first person in the second half.
Wow, that was a tremendous set, Joyce Lee. And I'm going to do my best not to stand in your shadow. So here I come. This first piece is called Written in Life, and it is in my newly released Black Calculus. Written in life. Walking out of the corner of my eye through a puddle of tears, circles of sadness spread out from each step. Melancholy clings like honey around my feet. marking my path like breadcrumbs through a field of morn. Winds of time blow in all directions. I'm lost, I'm found. Morn knows where to find me. In my heart of hearts, a chamber full of closets marked only by a crease in time, where ancestors remember and remiss, memories of lives too many to count. Lives lived like a map, guiding me to places, destinies, not destinations. Visions to fulfill, written in the winds beneath my feet. Next piece. This is not in that new book, but it will be in the next collection. This is called Meditation Threads. Sitting straight back in the wooden desk chair, silent like meditation. Steady breathing, eyes closed, glaring at the back of my eyelids, waiting for the tick-tock, calendar pages turn, legs shifting, feet shaking as temperatures rise and feelings start to boil, slicing like daggers thrown from across the room, aimed at your eyes, can't see them coming. Having thinking crazies, afraid of being seen, hoping to be obscured, can't wrap your arms around that. I know crazy, and this ain't it. I've wrapped my arms around crazy. All I was hugging was me. Pushed into vulnerability, feeling safe enough to fall into chaos, walking a fine line between now and never again, standing up against the wailing winds of trauma, gusting cycles of fear, pain, horror, sexual exploitation, physical battering, emotional abuse, psychological triggers set like minefields. Torched forests burn beyond recognition. The body releases its carbon. Every rock overturned, every wall crumbled. Trauma echoes resound in the silent body. That mind wears like ill-fitting pajamas. Makes us wear PTSD like calloused skin. Broken bones scarred. Anger breaks my voice into 15 shards of glass, wood, and metal ball bearings, imploding inside a vest wearing a mask. A quarter smile turns into a dark, dangerous, terror-filled stare. Target shredded. Survivors call for extra band-aids to tape the tail on the donkey. Me feeling like an ass that I grew manhood out of wild seeds thrown on fallow macho. Maybe call for a piece of liver smothered in onions to regenerate another human being. Instead of dirt turning to dust, tattooed with a mustache, expecting tree rings without nurturing the ground like you wanted something to grow. Peace.
Thank you so much, Norm. I was like mid typing out one of those lines, the tree rings. Wow, that was incredible. Thank you. And everyone should definitely pre-order Norm's book through Nomadic Press. I'm so excited to get my copy.
Come soon.
Next up, I would like to invite Nia Ryan up to the mic. Welcome.
How's everybody doing tonight? This poem that I wrote turned out to be something like a prayer. I wrote it after I went out yesterday, which for me sometimes is a big deal. And I was experiencing like a high of life. And then I remembered I'm signed up for the spoken word and I have a poem to perform tomorrow. And I asked myself, what am I gonna write about? Because my natural inclination is always to conjure pain. And I said, I don't feel that right now. I'm holding a different feeling in me, and I don't want to talk so much about my pain. And so this prayer is something that I hope to uplift everyone like it was written to uplift me. It's called Word of Mouth. I looked at my poems one day like a collection of sad songs, throwbacks to the good old, but bad old, remember that times. Like, Nia, is your poem a story of pain? Let pain be purged with the word, with the word. Let me be made clean with the word flowing through me, crystal clean. Let every drop of speech that I speak be so effortlessly me, so strong and free. Let it be, let it be. And so I say to you, me, listening to me, may you know life everlasting. May your soul see joy and soar above, a bird, a jet, a rocket, the word out, out, so far above, always rooted, never forgetting, always remembering the lessons of the ground, because in it, there was me, but above, I set myself free. I pray you use your language like me. Set yourself free. Let it be. Let it be. Thank you. And you can follow me on Instagram at Nia's Word of Mouth, Nayas Word of Mouth. Y'all have a good rest of the night. I'm tuned in.
Thank you so much, Nia. That was beautiful. And just again, as someone said, the cadence, just the way that you read, it was that just resonated a lot. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Aquila Lewis Ross. Welcome.
Thank you. Nia, that was so beautiful, sis. Ooh, thank you so much. My body is chilling right now. It has major chills and vibration. Thank you for reminding me the next chapter of the next chapter. And Joyce, so good to see you. You know I adore you, and looking forward to hear more about what's happening in your life. Hey everybody, so good to check in and share a little bit more of these words. I think you guys haven't heard this before, and I'm gonna kind of probably ruffle up some feathers, but it's something that I wrote a month after the insurrection. Anything new worth waiting for? This poem is dedicated to white folks and the rich who've been hating anything not like them, ruining lives, trying to erase what was and is to come. For ancestors, indigenous, Black and brown, poor, the folks, the village, and anyone else, we are irreplaceable. War is inevitable. Fear has no place here. I'm supposed to write a poem about something new, to ring in the beginning of a year, but I'm confused. I haven't seen anything new. White people are still doing white things. Well, not all of them, but most. No one should have the right to feel proud to hold on to broken systems that weren't meant to be fixed. And I'm not surprised that mostly white folks charge the Capitol. Writers secretly wrote that script already, if anyone was really paying attention. But was it attention they was trying to get? And this is my hope. Well, one of them, to walk past the crowd and not get stuck, like the Black woman, a citizen, a resident who was just trying to get home. She didn't deserve to be fondled or pestered, tossed around like a rag doll, wig snatched. You know hair is the key to glory, and they tried to steal her crown. It's the history of this country. It's the foundation of this country, because racism still exists, festering like a stubborn blister.
But white folks, please, figure out how to eradicate your hate before you're erased. No one really is promised tomorrow. And this one little snippet of a poem that I'm supposed to write for a phrastic type poetry collaboration. And it's turning into something else, but it's called Her Golden Crown. I trade a moment's time to get a glimpse of my grandmommy in her Sunday's best. It was a going to Jesus moment with her crown fitting just right. She'd sashay down the hall, checking the mirror to see how she looked. Everything had to be right. And it was. She was adorned regal from top to bottom with shoes and accessories to match. My heart longs for one more time to see her like this, happy, beautiful, proud, and unbossed. I wish I was warned that her clock chimes would soon faint. I struggle to hear its call, but sometimes I hear it while on the edge of sleep. Thank you.
Thank you so much for both of those pieces. You brought such wonderful energy. Thank you, Aquila. Next up, I would like to invite Saeed Shaya. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everybody that shared their work tonight. This has been a really powerful, moving night, and I just feel blessed to share this space with y'all. In A Map to the Door of No Return, Dion Brand quotes from circa 1492, "The money that financed Columbus's voyage to the Americas came from a tax which Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile obtained from the church for waging a just and holy war against the Moorish kingdom of Granada and Islam as a whole. Granada surrendered on January 2nd, 1492. Columbus set sail in April 1492. Thinking about the connection between rappers saying Pop Somali and my hearing Somali and how we are synonymous with violence, blood, shed, disaster, anger, eruptions. Thinking about how my favorite people reference my favorite rappers who reference my people in violent ways, like Freddie Gibbs saying straight out of Mogadishu, or Black Thought saying pull up on your block with Somali pirates. Thinking about how being a Black Somali man in America is juxtaposed with stereotypes of Black male violence in America, which is juxtaposed with ideas of Somali men are trash on my Twitter feed, and how we can't escape any of these, no matter how we say, do, or be. Thinking about Black man clutching AK-47s in music videos, driving slow, tipping foes, dipped in rose gold tooth fronts, black of the berry juice crust. And I remember the ubiquity of AK-47s back home, where it's easier to buy one than a decent meal, or most people walk around with the K, unable to afford the bullets for that K. Thinking about overdosing on Special K and Suboxone, falling into a K-hole, falling into a life hole, dropped by the long end of a snub-nosed, short barrel, burly stock, collapsible back, Andrei Kirilenko, 47. Thinking about the advice I got at the airport in Hargeisa. You shouldn't wear your backpack too often in Somalia, Black man, because it might be mistaken for the shoulder straps used to carry Kalashnikovs. You wouldn't want to be called a terrorist when you return to America. I didn't know how to tell him that was a foregone conclusion, and that I'd been called a terrorist in Africa just as many times as I did in America. In my retellings of past suicide attempts, I still blame myself. A friend asked me recently, what kind of Muslim are you with all this suicide talk? Taking your life is against Islam. I told her, I'm a Muslim who's trying not to die. But if I had a time machine, I'd tell her, I'm a Black Muslim in America. It's a miracle more of us don't want to die. I still chastise myself for the harms of white supremacy committed against my body corporal, my body spiritual. I still blame myself for the pain that others bring me. I guess that's how I was raised, to always smile, even when I mean to cry, especially when I mean to cry. And this is the last one. It's called A Cold Metal Pistol Grip in 2 parts. I'm just going to read the first part. I have an online hijabi friend who has a real life hijabi friend who was once beaten by unknown assailants outside her home. And so now my online hijabi friend has a cold metal pistol grip by her nightstand, in her purse, in her glove box, a 22 in each of her boxing gloves, Heckler and Coke stickers on her laptop, to let fat belly suspender wearing shirt tucked in, neck bearded devils know that she holds heat like Prometheus. a cold metal pistol grip. In some ways, I envy her ability to trust that she'll never desire to turn that cold metal pistol grip onto herself. Truth be told, I don't even know how to hold a cold metal pistol grip, shining like devil's lips. Still, I fear imaginary heat on my hip, on the tip of my tongue. That old devil hit the whip. Cold pedal fist a brick. No bezel bit the tip. Low kettle kiss the kit. A cold metal pistol grip. All right, thank you.
Wow, thank you for all three of those poems. It's absolutely incredible to hear your work. So thank you so much for coming in this space and sharing those words. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Next up, I would like to invite Raymond Nat Turner. Welcome, Raymond.
Oh, thank you for creating this incredible moment in time. What I mean by that is like the last year. I guess it's been a year. Has it been? Yeah.
We've been doing this? Yeah.
Yeah. So perhaps we may leave the ether at one point and get into the corporeal world. Anyway, I have two short pieces. The first is on the subject of January 6th, the police military riot on Capitalist Hill. This is called He's Under Suspicion. The rioters all knew him. It had to be an inside job because to a man, they spoke to him by name as they breached the building. Read their lips. And that stage chase, please. Well, if it had been real, he would have done what any officer fearing for his life would have done. Any officer who feared for his life the year before would have done. Any officer who might have feared for his life in the next 4 years would have done. Trust me. And they pulled their punches. Sure, he suffered a shiner, busted lip, chipped tooth, but he took those for the team. Are you going to tell me that he didn't even have his name tag on and every marauder greeted him? Officer N, word, N for short. And this one is called Selection Postmortem. It was the Latino vote. No, it was the Latinx vote. No, it was Black women. No, it was LGBTQ plus Black women. No, it was red state soccer mom. No, it was mocha sipping millennials. No, it was Gen Z cannabis users. No, it was independent tattooed pierced punks. No, it was swinging swing state couples. No, it was battleground state bartenders. No, it was Lincoln Project Republicans. No, it was erectile dysfunctional men over 50 earning 100K who flipped orange age, red nose, big shoe shows, Mangala medicine cult of death to dark winter. Nothing will fundamentally change, metastasizing mile-long food lines. But then again, maybe it was the eyes, teeth, and blood lost. Maybe it was the bodies absorbing blows, still tempered by white heat and hammer. Maybe it was spongy young lungs of all hues sucking up tear gas. Maybe it was innocent wrist cuffed, tortuously tight, losing sensation. Wrist refusing to normalize. Wrist refusing to co-sign barbarism, marketing itself as the highest form of civilization. Maybe it was the masked ones, the physically spaced ones, spiritually connected on blistered feet and cramped legs. Maybe it was the ones with aching arms and hoarse voices shouting slogans at ear-splitting decibels, reverberating between buildings of big business and special bodies of armed men. Maybe it was the bold, brave ones occupying US streets for over 2 months, centering mass struggle, antidotes to death and hunger.
Thank you so much, Raymond. As always, it is a joy to hear your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Yusuf Salam. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Oh, now we can't.
Now you can.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. I ain't gonna touch that thing no more.
Okay.
Okay. So these are two women poems. One is about relationship positive and relationship negative. I will deal with the relationship negative first. This poem is for Lee Morgan and Helen Morgan. It's called Sidewinder, and it's the name of an album, best-selling album by Lee Morgan, a trumpeter. It's also his best-selling composition, and it's also the name of a poisonous snake. So, trumpet man glared, "Get out of here, bitch." She was his sugar mama, backbone, bright and morning star. She was his pillow when he was bedless, his bread when he was dead. He lifted horn to lips and spat, "You ain't shit, bitch." She was his doctor when he was sick. She was his mother to hug and heal, his cane when he was lame. The woman mined needles out of his arms and his scrotum, sucked heroin out of his blood, washed clean a waste, his loyal friend so he could play again. The sidewinder slinked into her the night of hell, rain, snow. Spiked horn-headed and a chicory on his tail, hissed and kissed and loved her. Words long needed and seated. North Carolina get you with gun and scorn, squeezed at the man who balked her bitch. Traitor to tenderness, trust and toil. Earns a fatal reminder from the sidewinder. And this next one is to Latifah, my wife. I may have read it here before. What is my wife to me? Provides her love without a fee. Whether living is tranquil or overwhelms, she co-captains at the helm. What is my wife to me? As we voyage this earthly sea, each other's house hordes of eras, matching semblance in metamorphosed mirrors. What is my wife to me? Honors her heart with glee. Got roots in me heaven high. Best to have my Geechee pie. What is my wife to me? She's my hive and I'm her bee. My holiest, dearest request to cuddle her forever on my chest. Those are the two poems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yusuf, for sharing those poems. I would now like to invite S.K. Williams up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Nia said earlier that this was like a prayer. And it reminded me of what my son said to me a couple of weeks ago. He said, you get so excited about those poetry readings, you act like you're going to a prayer meeting. And, in fact, that's what it feels like to me. All these powerful words, I'm so inspired by all you incredible poets. And I feel really honored to be in your presence. I'm reading today, dedicating to my ancestors because they've been dreaming to me a lot. And so as a Garifuna woman, I live in the ancestral realm quite a bit. And so here's my first piece. It's to my dad. My dad, I was a daddy's girl in a matrilineal culture, which was very unusual. My father died suddenly, and this is my poem to him. It's called And I Wept on Sunday Morning, for Clive Williams. Sunday mornings used to be filled with tiny black legs clad in long white socks, pulled up to ashy, knobby knees, tripping gaily over shiny white patent leather shoes, Mary Jane's maybe. Tiny black hands encased in new white kid gloves, clutching little vinyl handbags, holding nothing but a hanky and 15 cents maybe, that little brown button eyes watched wistfully as the silver and nickel coins dropped into long-handled wicker baskets in slow motion. Sunday mornings with little dark-headed boys in shiny gray suits and white shirts, glistening black shoes, spit-shined or polished, hair close cropped, none of their own, pulling pigtails, running, hustling at the sound of the church bells ringing, over the swing bridge through cast iron gates. Holy, holy, holy Lord, we were Catholics. Droning, a Lord. The host was always the highlight, filling empty stomachs. You couldn't receive the body of Christ on a full stomach. The host would roll down into little parched throats, into rumbling bellies with no wine to wash it down. Go in peace. The mass is ended. Thanks be to God. Little brown and black legs running, hands clutching, waving goodbye, heading toward the smell of homemade bread. The host would not suffice. Careening toward the smell of Johnny cakes, grapefruits, fried eggs, and the sound of Simon and Garfunkel on the stereo. There is old Pandy sitting in his taxi nodding off. Should we stop for mischief? The image of a ride on your shoulders in Memorial Park, of the sun glistening on the blue Caribbean Sea, running behind Sis on the gazebo gives the answer. Take the green grass of home. Sit down to a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice and savor the smell of homemade bread on Sunday morning. But I wept this Sunday morning because I've traded in my long white socks and patent leather shoes for controlled top pantyhose and high heels and can no longer fit on your shoulders. And Simon and Garfunkel have split up and you are no longer here. That's the first one. My next poem is my ancestral poem. I think I've read it before, but I'm going to do it again because they're coming to me. This is Going to the Well, Even When the Well is Gone, by Gary Woman Poet. That's me. For those who came before me and left. I used to go to the well, then it became the pipe, to sit and gossip with the neighbors about who was sleeping with whose man and so on, before there was running water to the house. I used to use the outhouse or the bathhouse, each with its own unique smell. Shiny flies buzzing in and out of my face. The soap sitting on the side, running against the too long used wood before water came in pipes from who knows where, bringing itself to the house. I used to wash my clothes outside at the creek, at the river, in the big wooden bowl carved by my grandfather's hands. I used to grate coconut and green bananas on the wooden grater. I even learned about the egi, that's our word for grater, to grate cassava, to sing the work song that goes with it, Le Remohaegi. I used to listen to the beat of the drum to celebrate Saturday night or mourn the dead whom we will remember into eternity. I used to live in a house with a roof made of thatch, with a floor made of mud that I was proud to sweep clean. I used to have to watch for snakes that would crawl into the roof. I would have to protect the young ones from them because snakes too like the sweet smell, the sweet taste of mama's milk, the milk that would linger on the lips of the young. I used to take my swim in the river using sweet hibiscus leaves for both soap and shampoo and dance in the deep, dark depths with the myths and legends that live there. Ishtabay, Tataduhene, La Sirena. That was when I was a Garifuna girl with my African and Native ancestry all tied up into one, and no one knew how, and no one cared why, until the legends were invented. I spoke Garifuna and English and Creole and Mayan and Spanish all rolled up into one, and did not look to research the reasons to parse myself and find differences. That was before I knew I should be different. That was before I came west and learned about race. Now I no longer haul water from the well, or sit and gossip at the pipe with the neighbors. I do not wash my clothes in a bowl made by my grandfather's hands. And my ancestors, who used to know how to pound the rice and the hudutu and cook the tikini and catch the fish and sew the thatch and go to arabu and cut the cane and sow the sesame to make wangla and dig the cassava from deep in the earth to take it to Yegi to make our precious bread, and create the songs and tell the stories of the ancestors, and weave the baskets and make the brooms and cut and dry the rida, and teach the language to the children, and sit on their verandas or in their yards to greet their neighbors who came from the same place at the same time, walking and talking in the same rhythm, to say Ida biangi namu, to answer Wadiyatie, how are you, my dear? I am doing well. And continue the culture by telling us the stories. These ancestors are gone, leaving in their wake a hybrid culture peppered with Western influence. Now I live in the North with its coldness of culture, of place, of face, where race is a thing we live by, and stories are told in books, not passed on by word of mouth or dreams, trampling upon my Garifuna sensibilities of self, of place, of pace, of race. So I hold on to my oneness with my culture and language and dignity of whom I am, so that when the one who stole the land that was once plowed by red hands hisses to me that this is not my birthplace, not my birthright, that I, immigrant me, has come to take jobs, that I, immigrant me, should or must go home, I can. Because I have a home, a sense of place, a knowledge of races of face and roots, a place at the well. A place that I know will welcome me back with my progeny born abroad, not knowing my language or having my sense of place and home. I know I can go back and plant my feet in the soil and know that I can yet again call it home, even though the well is gone, taking with it the people that I knew and loved, that created the me that is me. I can go home again and start up as if I'd never left. Even though many things are new and different and the pipe no longer exists, so I can sit and gossip with the neighbors about who's taken whose woman or man and whose child is not really his. I can go home again, even though the well is gone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, SK. It's always wonderful to hear the storytelling and the ancestors in your pieces. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Andrea Jacobo. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. It's been so healing to listen to everyone share their poems, and it's such an honor always to be here. I am going to read one of my pieces and then end on another, reading a piece that gave me a lot of healing from a woman poet that her name is Aja Monet, and I just wanted to honor her since it's also Women's History Month, but I want to honor the women that also right now are doing the thing. So my poem, it's called Love Me Whole. Love me whole, so that the pieces of my past are tucked in between the vessels of my spirit. Align with the universe circulating the energy flow. Challenge the way you came into my life in the depth of no, in company of everyone. When does love become a chore to heal? How can it be untucked? What about the spaces that you left behind in the cheekbones of my smile? From the past, the smile that you wanted to wilt cold, and the lost one in the process of fighting, the ideal figure you fantasize while the one right in front of you was decaying into pieces you can control. And I had no choice to comply, porque the pieces were made of half whole ingredients that were giving away all the value and confidence that shaped the sway of my spine, the formation of my backbone. But like everything in nature, I too can regenerate into the same particles of the stars. Thank you, that's my little piece. And the next piece that I'm going to share by Aja Monet, it's one of her first books, Black Unicorn, and it came around a time that this poem came out around a time that I really needed to hear. And this is dedicated to all the women too. It's called Grow. Mud woman, stop building shrines to your past. What earth have you left for yourself to love? Like this, returning your mother's home of curses and witchery, slit tongue of fire and regrets. You are a drop of miracle. If you had a father, God would have been jealous. When the air is wet and sticky, take time to please yourself in your own smell of funk and armpit. Elbow and ankle your way through. Set another woman free. She is bathing in your lotus of you, blossoming in the breath of you, grasping in the quench of you, bending in the arc of your back. In case the shame of you comes like a stranger, knocks on your door looking for an invitation, shake her hand and hug her like a lost friend. They will call you an aggressive lover, strangling dancer, showing them the maps of your wrists, the railroad of your heart, and how you nicknamed your feet never beautiful enough. Be a streetwise hustler with your voice, a common sense book woman, and please, in case, never hold when standing at the edges of fire escapes. There is a garden of birds waiting for you in the sky. Some call them angels, others call them gods. Remember to escape your body every chance you get. Spend time with the moon. Point the finger to the sun, and with your hand on your hip, like the attitude of winter. Always swallow the stars, let the river of them rest their faces in the dark of you, where you protect tigers and lions, fairies and dragonflies. Mud woman, you are never bitter. No, you are not an aimless black stained bullet. Simply call it experience. Call it wit. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for both sharing your piece and also reading Aja's poem. Those were both lovely.
Thank you.
I would now like to invite Tarita McKell up to the mic to close us out this evening. Welcome, Tarita.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Wow, it was a close call. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it. And wow, but what I've heard, I needed to hear. My Lord, thank you. And thanks to all my children are here. My children. I know I'm gonna hear them real soon. Again. Okay, and thank you. That last poem, I was trying to write a note, and then that's when I was called. So yeah, there you go. Well, it looks a little strange, but it's there. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm about to read this piece. I don't know if anyone has heard. I may have read it before. What happened to him? What happened to him? Did you see him? I've not heard from him. What happened? He's someone's father, son. Appear he's gone ghost. Have you seen him? Last saw him in the store paying for his son's birthday bike. So proud. No problem between him and the clerk. He pays part cash, credit card. So proud. This young chocolate 30-something father buying a bike for his son's birthday. Receives his receipt, heads for the exit. Police watch. Stops him. What's wrong, he asks. I have my receipt. They won't answer him. What's wrong? What did I do? I have my receipt. My son is waiting for me. I told him I have something special for him. He's waiting for me. Police smirk as he handcuffs him. Another takes his son's new bike. Another empties his pockets, takes wallet, change, and receipt. What did I do? What did I do? My son is waiting for me. Don't you have a son? How would your son feel if you didn't come home? His Black life didn't matter. And that's that one. And the next one, this is in When We Can Celebrate Life and the Ritual of It, but this is called The Ritual. Spring sprites spiral moisture heat. Swing low, my sweet chariot. Let us ride from the other side, metaphysical tones enthroning homes, bathing bone. Call out, oh God, oh God, oh my God, on a good day. Purple, red, green, gold hold array of 9 moons. Baptizes sons and daughters, canonizes flesh, stone, water, surrounding scenes, seen and unseen. Immortal heartbeats, lyrical time and wombs, empirical loom, the spherical room, cutting umbilical tunes, singing joy and pain, sunshine and rain, 'cause everybody got a little light under the sun. 5 cosigns, 5 sisters and brothers. Math, logic baptizes lives of Earth's mothers. A Fibonacci wheel keeps on turning, rolling, rolling, rolling down a river sealed in red mitochondrial reels. Mama's helix keeps it real, rocking steady, calling this song exactly what it is. Humming all kinds of medicinal lullabies up in here, ensuring lips, eyes, ears, nose, crown, tether 4 extensions down. How great thou art, thy spine. Poets, dancers, musicians, scientists, farmers, mathematicians paying dues, 'cause we all got to cross that toll booth en route to mysteries, sometimes crude, but adores the magic of molding you, baby, molding you. Thank you. That's it for me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Tarita. It's always so lovely to hear your voice. I think every word that you speak, it feels like a story. And I really enjoy that. So I'm very grateful that you were able to make it and close us out this evening.
Thank you for having the patience. I didn't know I was going to make it, and I guess I needed to do it. Thank you.
You made it here, and that's what's important. So thank you. And I want to thank all the poets this evening for sharing in this space, everyone also here listening and supporting. I want to thank Joyce again for being our incredible feature. This has felt and has been so lovely to gather with all of you in this space and just enjoy each other's company and each other's words and stories. So I encourage folks to continue coming. This is a bi-monthly open mic, so this will be happening again on March 18th. Our next feature will be Joshua Merchant. So I really encourage folks to come back, sign up to read and be on the lineup. I also ask if you are able to financially support the museum. We do appreciate that. You can either donate via our website, which is MoAD SF, or by texting the number 56512 and typing MoAD SF. We also do have just a quick program survey. If you're able to take a couple moments to fill that out, the feedback helps us know how to best support our community. So we really appreciate that. And what's really important is you coming and showing up and supporting in this space. So thank you all for participating in this experience together. And I hope to see you all at the next one on the 18th. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thanks again, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. My Lord, it's always such a, yes, need this medicine.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Stay safe, everybody, and please check out MoAD's other events, because they have a whole bunch of other events that you definitely want to be part of. Support them, support them, support them, because when they come back, I want to make sure there's a whole bunch of folks ready for them. Anyway, enough. I'm out of here.
Thanks, Avacha.
Yes, thank you, Avacha. Thank you.
If Avacha says so, it must be so.
Thank you for carrying my book as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Always.